That is why this conversation has to be had. And we're looking forward to hearing from you and what your opinion is, what your take is, and most importantly, what solutions can government put in place. A report also, as of yesterday, was showing that according to the inspection system that was put in place, there is continuous absenteeism. And well, we are also going to be breaking down that system, and I think I'll be starting with Robert Chirabo to give us insights into the inspection system. But before that, on set, I do have Robert Chirabo Nyunyitono. I also do have John Paul Sonko. And my name is Chantal. Please get to interact with us. Let us know what you think. Robert.
Well, thank you so much, Chantal, and of course the young lad with us on set, and above all our bosses, you the viewers, that every morning will wake up to deliver and ensure that you're well versed with issues that concern you, affecting a country, and also give you a global perspective. Now, Ministry of Education and Sports has always had a challenge of absenteeism of teachers. Now, we see that in 2016, government of Uganda, with partners, introduced what they called the e-inspection system, or what was codenamed by many time to teach. Now, this was a system where once a teacher arrived at school, they had to clock in. And when they were leaving, they had to do the same thing. Now, under this system, there was connectivity that the district inspector of schools would get this information, and if he wanted, he would still pass it on to other high authorities. Now, by then, this system was introduced in 1,000 schools across 46 districts. Right. That was in 2016. And the system moved on. To some areas, it yielded results. But it had challenges. That one, some teachers deliberately refused to log in.
Yes, they were coming to teach.
Either they were coming or not coming.
Okay.
Then others had issues of data. I didn't have money, for data, because it was also connected with mobile, that they would pass this information. So someone says, I didn't have data. Others would tell you where maybe the school had tried to have internet around, either it wasn't stable. Others would say, because of reach distance, our internet wasn't good. So teachers found ways of violating this system. And that became a problem. And most of the fact that internet connectivity was something needed for this very system. Now, some would come and log in, move away, return,
yes.
Give you that.
Because that happens even in private institutions, even in some government institutions.
Even where they had to fill in for lessons and all that, they choose not to. So some just found ways to manipulate the system. Yet the ministry is saying if this system is effectively utilized, it will give credible information to ensure that a child in a public school does not only cover 4 years work instead of 7 years work during their time in school, because a teacher on government payroll simply chose not to come, or simply chose to visit the school and go away. So if this information, because they believe with the digitalization, you get right evidence.
Right.
Because if someone logged in and then also went to a classroom and logged in, and there is a way this data is captured and is forwarded, you have factual things. But where people just choose and say, for us, we're not going to log in this integrated inspection system, IIS, then that is the problem. So the conference that was happening at St. Henry's Chitovu, where we had all district accounting officers, the Minister for State for Primary Education, Moriku Kaduchu, was there, and senior officials of the Ministry of Education to review and find out these high numbers of ungraded people, pupils at primary 7. Where is the root cause? And they found that absenteeism is one of the outstanding reasons for this poor performance.
Great. Thank you so much, Cheryl, for giving us an insight into the e-inspection system. Now, let's now get further into the discussion of why. I think this leads us to the foundation of our problem. The problem being absenteeism, and the problem also being that the system is facing challenges. Now the question goes to why in the first place do we see absenteeism in these schools? And this will be to you, Joram Paul. Why is there still absenteeism, even after some of the teachers had their salaries increased recently?
Well, I think first is lack of professionalism in most of the areas, especially in our education system today. I think even when you go to, if we are to even broaden the gap to private schools, some private schools, we have these cases of teachers missing out on, you know, or coming in late at a given time, simply because of issues here and there. But why I mentioned something to do with lack of professionalism is, at times when we choose certain careers, or when you look at these particular careers that are being highlighted, especially in relation to education, we all know as a teacher you have to be passionate. That is one of the key things that a teacher is actually what we look at. If we are to say this person is going to teach, you always have to be passionate about the kind of career you chose. The same applies to the health sector, or the same applies to the kind of job we are doing here today, is you have to have the passion, first of all, and the passion to educate the nation. Because like Chirab has actually given figures here in relation to why we have poor performance, is that for other schools, let's say private schools, what children cover in 7 years, most of those in the public or private, or rather government schools cover in 4 years. So it's not easy to cope up with a person who has covered a 7 years time curriculum with you who has only covered 4 years of the same. And besides the lack of professionalism, which of course depends on quite a number of factors, one is you look at levels, the motivation levels of some of the teachers in far to rich schools is also still low. Because you're looking at a teacher who is, for example, staying far away from a school, but he or she is supposed to be in this space by 8 o'clock. Now, in most cases, we've seen stories running on in the news a couple of times where you find a teacher who is either supposed to cross a certain bridge, and then once it rains or over floods, these are natural calamities that do not occur every other term, but these are things that happen once in a while. And once such a situation comes in, you will find it will be very difficult for this teacher to attend class in the next 1 or 2 weeks. And besides that, when it comes to lack of motivation, the lack of motivation goes back to the pay. And the pay in this regard is not only low salary pay, because there was increment, especially for the science teachers, but when it comes to when does this pay come in? Because if you are you are a teacher who, let's say, if the government had stipulated 28th as the day you will be receiving your salary, at times you realize these are people who try to budget according to how much they earn and when it comes in. So if there is delay in the salary, in most cases, the reason as to why at times you realize there is low attendance or less, attention to the kind of work people do is because of the monetary purposes. Because as much as we're pushing for the passion and the professionalism that is supposed to be number one as a priority for any person in a career kind of setting, you do realize that the end product has to be money. That I am coming to teach, but if I'm teaching, what am I taking back home at the end of the day? If I'm going to teach people with an empty stomach, or if I'm going to teach people with personal grievances, when I have my own issues that, let's say, the accounting officers of different districts have not settled out, then it's very difficult for me to pay attention to it. And then also, when we also look at the income kind of differences, most especially for the government, teachers, we've actually seen most of the government teachers are also teaching in the private schools, simply because they are trying to
to earn more money.
To earn more money. And this is actually something that is happening in almost every kind of career today, because you may not be able to earn as much as you want from one specific job. So you want to look out for other places where you can earn an extra income. So at times when they realize that maybe the salaries are not coming in on time, many of them seek out for other options. They are not ruling out their main source of income, but they are going into private schools which are paying them quickly and on time because of the services they are rendering. And this is the same kind of situation which creates a very unhealthy competition for the private and government schools, where a teacher who was supposed to give 100% to a government student ends up going to a private school and giving them 120%.
Because they are more motivated.
Yes, they are more motivated that side. And then, at the end of it all, you are affecting the growth or the education of this one in the public school, because they are not going to get some values or the same values or some learning tools that they expected to gain from their teachers. So all of these are kind of things that you have to look at. And then also you look at the issue to do with the kind of welfare they're living or they're actually working under, the conditions they're working under. Conditions, when you look at the welfare of these teachers, goes back to what do you feed them also. At times matters in these particular schools. We also look at the element of a few allowances here and there, which is pretty much debatable when it comes to public service. But when you look at what happens in the private sector, why I'm using this as a private sector kind of thing, it's because there are schools in the private sector that are giving better, you know, better, that are actually having better salaries caps or setting up better welfare, you know, strategies for these teachers at the end of it all. So you find that there is specific lunch for teachers in most of the private schools. You will find that there is a given transport allowance. There is also some allowance for someone who is going to teach extra lessons and all that. Now, when someone is weighing in, they will deliberately, you know, absent themselves on a day they're supposed to be at a government school and go seek for the extra cash the other side. Gives them more than. So when you look at it, it again undermines the system that was put in place, because someone also fears coming in late at work so that they clock in, because they know if I clock in, yet I was supposed to arrive at 7 and I clock in at midday, then they will also come in and ask, why am I coming in late? And on that very note, there is a conversation, you know, in ordinary conversations, even in town, when you're seated somewhere, you'll hear someone say, the moment you get on the government payroll, you have the luxury, if I may put it like this, the luxury to be complacent. Some people think when you get on the government payroll, one, it's not very easy to get off. Two, you can work your ways around it and you'll find yourself being able to balance the two, or even being able to be complacent and no one does nothing about it. So does that mean that some of these people take on these jobs? Because yes, there is the element of motivation, there's the element of the working conditions, but before you signed up for that job, you knew what you were getting yourself into. You knew how much you were going to be earning, you knew how much you're going to be spending, you knew that the teachers' quarters are not well furnished, or the teachers' quarters are not even there. You knew you had to cover a certain distance, you knew all these things, but you went ahead and took on this job. Could it be that some of these teachers take on the jobs because they feel like the moment I get in there, I can work my way around it, I can come at midday, teach up to 3, I get out, go to the private school, teach, and they literally juggle and balance it out like that? Let's say they are hustling. Let's put it like that.
Well, first, I love the way that you've said they go into something knowing what it is offering. But I want to tell you, whenever public service announces that there are vacancies for teachers, you tell people crave. If you had a spying camera, you'd tell many pastors brought applications to pray for them, because someone is applying to become a teacher on a government payroll. So they really crave, because one...
It sounds like there's a catch when you say government payroll.
Government payroll. Because they know you're permanent and pensionable.
Thank you.
And I want to be very honest. It is very hard to fire a teacher or remove a teacher from a government payroll. Even if you're the accounting officer, if you're the district inspector, they will defeat you in court and you'll have it a problem. The easiest, next to being very hard, is a transfer that you can give this teacher.
From Kampala, send them to Katakwi.
To Katakwi, and good. And some, I've seen headmasters trying even to reject to go to their new destinations. We once had a saga at Old Kampala, it's a government school, where a head teacher was very sure, I'm not leaving. I've been here, some have overstayed and all that. So, but that wouldn't be a problem. Someone being permanent and pensionable, and one would even think it is a plus because you concentrate. You know, I'm here for the next so many years. Let me concentrate, give my best. You're assured of your pay.
Right.
Contrary to what happens in the private sector. If I have my school and sonko, it is we hire you, we fire you as and when we feel you should be going.
I mean, there's a job description, there is key performance indicators. If you're not hitting those expectations, you're out.
The challenge here is inspection. When we were in school in our days, school inspectors would land any minute. Call teachers to the staff room, ask for their lesson plan, you know, see how far they have gone, move around the school. But one, there's a challenge. First, human resource. You look at a district like Wachiso. It has over 2,000 schools. Not even 2,000, over 20,000 schools. They don't have, as a whole district, even 20 inspectors.
Well, you could say that is why the system was put in place. Because
So,
they could not afford to have different inspectors in
because they
very
have
many
learned
schools.
that technically people are violating the system. Previously, one would say there was less population, but I wasn't in school long ago when I was at Nakasero Primary School. The populations were very, very high still. I remember in my stream, P1N, P2N, P3N, I don't remember when we were less than 150 in a stream.
Right.
And these were 4 streams. So still population was high. However, the people there, the school inspectors, we had a time of a man called Fajiru Mande. Even when I was in Mengo, Fajil's team, almost a teacher is teaching, and you'd even see the panic. Inspectors have arrived.
Am I dressed well? Am I on time for class? Are the
time?
students not dozing?
Not
Are
dozing.
they engaged?
An inspector would come, then sit in a class.
Oh, and by the sometimes they would come as if they are students.
Yes, sit in a class. The teacher is teaching. Then ask, how are you? Do you do this? Do you do that? Remember one time I had a student teacher who was putting on something very, very short. But she was a student teacher. You know? But that, I think, had something to her career. Because you're coming in education, why are you
You're standing in front of students.
Yes, and those some were reasons of why some are poor performers of mathematics. Because maybe they're calculating distances of slits and skirts. But the challenge is today there is lack of manpower and corruption. When I was in primary, inspectors would just land. Now, I went to secondary school where I would even be told the inspector of schools is going to come on such and such a day. All of you be smart. All of you be this. And when he would come, he would go straight to the headmaster's office.
So first, so that they
talk on what they are going to do. So for me, the system may be beaten. But how do we improve inspection? That these inspectors will put pressure on the headmaster. They'll set targets. But what is happening in these government schools today? Inspection, the wing of school inspections, that department has very big challenges. That is the difference in a private school. A teacher is teaching in a government school, but knows that I must have a lesson at such and such a school at this particular time. Believe you me, he will give these ones homework and tell them, you go home or go and play. But he will run to a private school because the director has an office and the headmaster is there. You know, the director is loitering around campus, you know, seeing Even if a class is making noise, the director is there. Where's the teacher supposed to be here? So the challenge number one is inspection, because I don't believe this, that a teacher in a private school has better services, leave alone Kampala, but let's move away from Kampala.
Okay.
Fellow Uganda, let's be very honest. When you leave Kampala and you go to Rakai, Gomba, Sembabule, a teacher on a government payroll earns much more than a teacher in private. A teacher on government payroll has more job security. These schools you're talking about that are beating in performance, some of them don't even have the facilities. A government school has at least a library, has all this, but it is inspection. A teacher still has to move long distances in a private school, not sure of their job. They're ever demanding 2 months, 3 months, 2 months, yet a government teacher is demanding nothing. It is inspection.
Well, you would, you know, but by what you're saying, it's as if you are now putting more, adding weight on what government needs to do to ensure that these inspections are done well. But in my own opinion, the most that can be done is paying the inspectors more money that the schools cannot manage to pay them, to bribe them. How about that? What do you think, John Paul?
You know, it also...
Some are very even insufficient, that there are so few.
No, you see, when you also look at this case that we're actually having as a discussion, you realize that it is supposed to take all of us. It's supposed to involve all the stakeholders in the education system.
Yes.
First, the teachers themselves. Because when you're absenting yourself, it goes back to you. The reason as to why, like you've mentioned, the reason as to why at times the private schools have teachers who are dedicated to the work, at times many are also using it as a bargaining power to get better schools. Or others actually use it to actually get into the public schools or government schools. Why? Because if you put a lot of attention to ensuring that the students you're teaching are performing well, then your CV is also, you know, getting the scores, because then they will know teacher so and so who teaches social studies, let's say in primary, or teacher Sonko who does teach geography or history in secondary, is doing a tremendous job in Rakai. So when you do that, you realize that your ranking is also going up there. And believe it or not, when you do something good, you will always be recognized. And then when it comes to also the issue to do with other stakeholders in this issue, as we've looked at the Ministry of Education that launched the inspection system in 2016, and when you look at the reports, according to the monitoring situation, these teachers have actually deliberately,
they've refused,
to use the system. At times, they even faulted themselves, so that at least, so that at least there is no one who is going to be monitoring them.
And that's why I tell you, most of these teachers are actually just being complacent. They are misusing the luxury of working for government, because they know I'm already on the payroll, I'm not going anywhere, so I can work my way around. I can hustle for
unless it's a transfer.
Yes.
And you know, it becomes very difficult for you.
That goes back then. Who are they accounting to? Let me give an example of us here.
Okay.
We have a direct supervisor who is our producer.
As we wind up,
if I miss a show, I know there are repercussions. If he doesn't hold me accountable, the programs manager will hold him accountable. If the programs manager fails, the TV manager will hold him accountable. Then it will go up to top levels. Now, we cannot leave people who have chosen to sleep on job, whose role is to inspect, whose role is to set targets, because we are saying this has ever been possible in this country.
Yes.
All along, where did we go wrong? It seems there is someone who is not picking a cane to crack the whip on those that have chosen to sleep on duty. Or if there are human resource gaps, then let's fill these human resource gaps, because it is not going to do us any good having more schools when the inspection arm is not strengthened. You'll end up being everywhere, yet nowhere.
Very true.
Very true. Thank you, Robert and Joram Paul. Let's get into some of the comments that we have. This is retired Captain Chitaka Mayanja from Chivoga. He says, the main problem of teachers in Uganda is not low payment. Most of them joined teaching, not by call of God. Others just found themselves in teaching because they failed to get what they wanted to be. Why do they perform well in private where they are underpaid? Very interesting. Then someone says, good morning, UBC teachers. Absenteeism stems from the delays in their salaries hitting their accounts on top of being low, and yet they go to the same markets and hospitals that operate on a cash basis. Furthermore, these teachers are demotivated by the hefty packages and by those they taught, like MPs, who are perceived to be doing less yet earning more. Mind you, some of these big earners were the dullest during school days. Bruno Namisi Ignatius from Chira Wakiso. Well, there could be some, mark my words, could be some truth to some of these things. Good morning, family. I think some teachers do part-time jobs. You find a teacher teaching in like 7 schools. So with that busy schedule, absenteeism is inevitable. And sometimes it's a result of little salaries. Secondly, with this policy of, I think, dictating notes in schools, some teachers choose to leave the notes behind for a student to dictate to the fellows, so they comfortably stay at home, hoping to come back the following day just for explanations. This policy in schools promote absenteeism and laziness of teachers too. Cricket Derek Gagamel from Makindil Wafo. Thank you so much, Derek. And lastly, what motivated teachers to teach? What motivated teachers to teach needs to be investigated. Do teachers love their job? Even though you inspect someone who doesn't love the job, you are wasting time. Unfortunately, Charles, I don't know, the name on WhatsApp says Charles, and I don't know where you're talking to us from, but thank you so much for your opinion. And it in a way, it holds some water. That's the part where we examine, is this person passionate about it, or they joined teaching because they failed Form 4, or they failed to get a certain point in Form 4 and they were told, go to a teaching institution, and then now you can teach. You passed English, you can teach English. You get it. So maybe that is why we need to also assess, are the people we are hiring...
Is that now only for teachers? Because
no,
I'll tell you that many people are in jobs
that they don't love.
That is never what they wanted.
Because also, when you look at some of the figures here, that clearly show why we are having this rate of absenteeism, it shows that some people were actually transferred because they have a relative who's in charge of the transfers.
Well, the nepotism.
So this kind of person says, this you can go and do this job.
Because
there is money. And
but it all goes back, just in a minute.
Unfortunately,
it all goes back to the issue of inspection. It would weed out those. And people would know that if you can't, then this is not a no-go. This is not a go area. For you, it's a no-go area. You know, things that if you're going in the army, these are no-go areas. If you're going in, this is a no-go areas. But when we still, there's someone sleeping on duty, I feel a whip has to be cracked.
Well, according to Robert Jarrow, from what I can conclude with, government needs to put it more when it comes to inspections to make sure that these teachers are up to the job and cracking a whip on those that are not doing their part. And well, we can't go further than that. Thank you for being a part of the conversation. We've been talking about absenteeism of teachers in especially government schools. My name is Chantal Olive Akaninda. With me on set, it's been Robert Chirabo Nyonyintono and Jerome Paul Sonko. Coming up is Good Morning Uganda Tourism Express with Alan Namisango.
The cardinal role of a government is maintaining law and order, safeguarding citizens' rights and providing essential public goods and services. Throughout its tenure, the government has consistently upheld these principles. This foundation creates an environment conducive to delivering crucial social services to citizens through diverse approaches such as taxation, strategic budgeting, and effective policy implementation. A transformative education system, advancing healthcare provisions, enhancing social welfare, and propelling infrastructure growth, all of which continue to evolve daily to cater to the population's expectations. Supported by a meticulously organized network of ministries, government remains committed to serving its citizens. Coming soon on your public broadcaster, The Front Bench, your interface with the government every Monday at 8:30 p.m. with Joram Paul Sonko, only on your public broadcaster, UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Junko. Yo. Wachiko. Chick the shopping man. What's your secret?
Uganda, haven't you heard of the parish development model PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a portrait project, and now things are moving.
Junko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Thank you so much for sticking around. This is the GMU Tourism Express, and our mandate is basically one, is to take you through, inspire you, and motivate you to explore around Uganda, but also invite. The country is very hospitable. This is one of the most hospitable countries that you're going to ever visit. So if you're looking for a safari where you're going to merge wildlife, you're going to merge recreation, you're going to merge cultures, you're going to merge beautiful people, people that can speak good English, Uganda is the country that you should think about, and you should book that trip and come explore the beautiful nature that God placed in our country. That is why it is dubbed the Pearl of Africa. I am Irene Alena Misango, Uganda Uncovered, and this is the time when we inspire you and give you the beautiful conversations that are happening around the world of tourism. And straight going into the travel news today, Uganda Tourism Board is set to conduct a training that they've called a tourism project clinic, where they're going to be training different stakeholders in the industry through different topics. And this clinic is going to happen on the 22nd of February. That is tomorrow. It is going to happen in Jinja at the Source of the Nile Hotel. People have been contacted. It is totally free. However, you need to do some bookings. When you visit their X page, Uganda Tourism Board, you'll be able to get all the information that you would need. But some of the topics that they're going to cover in this clinic is the bankable project proposal writing, report writing, and then sustainable reporting and sustainable projects that you can take on after a fundable project. So if you need to cover some of these, if you need to get information or more knowledge about some of these topics, you can get some time, check the X page for Uganda Tourism Board and get all the information and the contact numbers, and you book a slot for this training. A lot is going to be there. But besides also the training, you think about the connecting, the networking that you're going to find there. Remember, tourism is a people industry, and the more people you know, the more opportunities that you open up to. The saying goes like, your network is your net worth. So find time, go and connect with people and also learn a lot. That is it that we had for you in the travel news today. And straight going into the travel attraction today. Like I said, this week we are covering the 5 top underrated things why you should visit Uganda or the Pearl of Africa. And we said the first one was the people of Uganda. We are very happy people, by the way. Then the second one, we said food. We have so many delicacies in our country that you should test or think about testing anytime you're thinking of having a safari around Africa and specifically Uganda. And then number 3 today is the weather. The weather in Uganda is incredible. This is where we are in a country where you're going to find that it is raining in Kampala, and then you just drive maybe about 45 kilometers away from Kampala and you find it super shining. So this is amazing when it gets to in terms of weather in the country. But see, why is it that Uganda is one of the beautiful countries on the continent that have that amazing weather that you need to come and experience? First of all, Uganda is one of the countries that have been crossed by the equator. This makes it located so close to the equator and making it located in that tropical region. So this makes Uganda to have two major rainy seasons, that is March to May and September to December. This forms two seasons in the country. That is the high season and the low season in the tourism industry. The high season is usually the dry season, where that is around June to August, and that is the time, that is the high season is always the prime time for tourists coming in the country. This time is basically best for wildlife viewing because it is sunny and you're going to find so wildlife species coming close to water bodies for drinking water. You're going to have people getting to connect with people, like, because the weather is good and they are also vibrant and busy taking on their normal lives. So you find so many people on the streets of Kampala. You're going to see, you're going to have amazing boat cruises because it is sunny and you need this fresh air on the lakes where you're going to be having these boat cruises. However, also in that time, it is also very perfect for you to have the perfect views of the sunsets in the country and also sunrises. This is where you're going to see sun rising up in a very beautiful sky like that. For me, watching the sunset is one of those things that really offset my moody emotions that I could be having, even if I'm upset, even if maybe I'm having a bad mood. If I see a sun setting, man, seeing like the sun being swallowed up by the horizon, it is just amazing and it calms the soul. So the high season, that is the dry season, it is really very good for you to come and explore the country. However, also the dry season is perfect, the wet season is also perfect for you to come into the country because that is a time when we are going to have the green lush, like blossoming and like never before. You're going to see the green Uganda that we are always talking about. So the scenic viewing is very, very good during the wet season, and also birding becomes so good during the wet season because birds are always up in the clear skies and like you can spot them easily. So for people that want to do birding, scenic viewing, those wellness trips, you need to visit Uganda during the wet season. However, like I said, Uganda is an all year round destination that you can visit because even if you come in the dry season, you still find rain because you have different rainfall patterns because we have different topography, we have different prevailing winds, we have lakes and rivers that patterns. So 1 minute it is raining and the next minute it is already shining. That is the beauty about Uganda's weather, and you need to come here and experience it. Well, going into the travel tip of the day, the fact that we are talking about weather, please make sure as you're coming to Uganda or when you're planning about that safari in Uganda, make sure that you carry a raincoat and an umbrella on all your trips. Because you never know, it is going to be shining like so much in the morning and then at around midday it is already raining cats and dogs. So just prepare yourself, carry a raincoat and an umbrella anytime you're having a trip around Uganda or coming to the country. Thank you so much. That is it that we had for you today in the GME Tourism Express. And next is Jerome Paul Sonko coming up with the Good Morning Uganda.
Well, the conditions in Uganda for the past 2 days have been really hot. When you look at the few changes in the weather and the temperatures. I don't know how you're coping up with the kind of situation, but it does look like the beverage business is yet to pick up this entire week. And so that means if you're in the restaurant business, or if at all you are in the hotel business, you should be stocking up with refreshments, especially for those in retail businesses, especially the shops, to put it in that way. I'm Jerome Paul Sonko. Good morning and welcome to the GMU Business Update. So far, we do have a viewer from Hoima who has actually sent in images from the New Sunshine Restaurant, or what it's called, the New Sunshine Restaurant in Hoima, which is always glued to UBC. I was in Hoima in December for tourism-related purposes, and I can also agree that they were watching UBC. That was nighttime by the time I passed there. And to all the viewers in Hoima, a very good morning, and to all of you who always wake up with us, whether in Uganda, Zambia, Canada, we are so glad you are always glued to UBC. Kicking off with our business update this morning, though, we start with the Uganda and the European Union, which are to host the third EU-Uganda Business Forum. Now, this particular forum, slated for the first week of March in Kampala, will facilitate structured collaboration between European and Ugandan public and private sectors. Besides that, the forum, which opens on the 5th to the 7th of March 2024, seeks to build on the existing trade ties between the European Union and Uganda, and amongst the key areas of discussion is investment, and also looking at export and importation policies that affect both Uganda and the European Union member states. Now, on the theme, boosting trade and investment, it is designed to mobilize investment into the country and further strengthen Uganda's exports out of the country to the European Union, or to the European continent. Because as much as we are pushing for investments and trade, you always have to create room for the market of Ugandan goods, especially on the European continent. We do have quite a number of goods as of now, that not only the agricultural-based products, but also goods that are being manufactured in the country. Recently, when the Ministry of ICT was actually launching a new smartphone, that is the My One, which is actually a phone manufactured in Uganda, you get to realize that these are phones that have already hit the Ugandan market. So it would be better if at all such phones or such goods are being appreciated even more on the European continent. Now, besides that, this comes at a time when the value of Ugandan exports to Europe is estimated at about 800 million euros per annum when you look at the volumes of the exports in euros that we export out of the country. Now, according to the European Union in Uganda, their main focus is improving livelihoods and providing jobs to more than 700,000 young people who enter the job market annually when you look at the figures of the fresh graduates. Now, besides that, the Private Sector Foundation and the Uganda Investment Authority will capitalize on the event to put more emphasis on value addition and observance to standards, because as much as we are looking for the markets, you always have to look at the kind of quality in regards to the goods that you're exporting out, because these markets in the European Union always focus on the quality that you're selling to them before they import goods from your country. So as much as we're looking at adding value to our products or to our raw materials in the country, what else should we focus on? That is making sure that the goods we are exporting reach the standards or the international standards, so that we can compete favorably with other goods on the international markets. Now, the forum will place special attention to key economic sectors that offer significant opportunities to European investors to develop partnerships with Ugandan entrepreneurs, including agribusiness, mining, infrastructure, and tourism, among other key areas of interest. And well, besides that, we now talk matters illegal fishing. Now, the Fisheries Protection Unit has destroyed illegal fish gear worth 8.6 billion. Illegal fishing gear that is worth 8.6 billion Ugandan shillings. That was impounded in the operation conducted in Kampala and Wakiso fishing areas. Entebbe Magistrate Judge Stella Maris Amabiris, the FPU commander, and as well as the FPU commander, Lieutenant Colonel Adamasi Tukahira, and local leaders representing landing sites did witness the destruction of the illegal nets, and also further urged fishermen to desist from indulging in illegal fishing at the end of it all. Now, illegal fishing nets and other gears that were impounded in the districts of Kampala and Wakiso, that is in the landing sites of Lake Victoria, where the fishing does take place. You do realize that many were disposed of by the Entebbe Magistrates Judge Stella Maris Amaviris, and then also a number of items have been destroyed, including beach boat stains. As Lieutenant Frank Akandanaho says that this operation, 13 suspects were arrested and will further be charged under the new Fisheries Act of 2023 for indulging in illegal fishing, using illegal fishing gear, as well as also fishing of premature fish, among other cases that will be opened up for the 13 individuals that were arrested by the Fisheries Protection Unit. Now, meanwhile, the local leaders representing different landing sites in Wakiso expressed total commitment to work with the Fisheries Protection Unit in fighting illegal fishing in Lake Victoria. Now, this is not the first time the Fisheries Protection Unit destroys illegal fishing gears, despite dealers and fishers not stopping the vice, because it does seem like it is continuous. Of course, as we're talking matters safeguarding climate, by the way, you have to realize that also how we maintain the lake, or how we protect fish species or the lake species, is also one way of addressing matters that affect the climate. Well, now let's get into the international scene and pretty much talk matters talent, and how much talent can be a paying route for you as an individual. As we talk matters America's Got Talent, the Fantasy League was won by Tanzania's Ramadhani brothers. Now, as we talk about this, Fadili Ramadhani, age 36, and Ibrahim Jobu, also with age 26, beat 9 other finalists, taking home the inaugural trophy, which is worth $250,000 US in worth of prize money, with the American Got Talent Fantasy League. So when you look at it in this way, the pair are known for their daring head balancing performances, and they were able to achieve that feat and walk away with $250,000 US. Their mentor, Judge Howie Mandel, said their routine was probably one of the most terrifying acts in the American Got Talent history. And well, of course, it is more to the Ugandan people out there. If at all you do have special talent, it's always, you know, good to continue pushing for the same. And as we are in the first term of academics, schools should as well prioritize co-curricular activities, because as of now, they are paying so well if you're good at what you're doing. But well, as we now close up our business update this morning, we now look at the Forex market. Close of business Tuesday evening. How will you find the Forex market? How will you find the different currencies? As you can see on your screen, the US dollar was buying at 3,878.71, while selling at 3,888.71. And the Great Britain pound, on the other hand, by closing time, was buying at 4,880.19, while selling at 4,892.77. The euro was buying at 4,176.59, while selling at 4,187.36. The Kenyan shilling was buying at 26.74 shillings, while selling at 26.81 shillings. And the Tanzanian shilling was buying at 1.52 shillings, while selling at 1.52 shillings. And the South African rand was buying at 204.20 shillings, while selling at 204.73 shillings. That is how you will definitely find the Forex market if you are out there to exchange some currencies. That is it from the world of business this morning. Tomorrow I'll be back same time to give you more from the business update. I'm Jerome Paul Sonko. Stick around, because Chantal Oliver Kandinda is giving you more from the traffic updates this morning.
for sticking with us. It's time for our traffic updates. If you are trying to make your way to town, you will know that different routes carry different jam at different intervals depending on where you are coming from. So right now, we are in Kawempe side. If you're coming from Kawempe trying to use Bombo Road to make your way to town, let's see what this holds for you this very morning. Now, when you are crossing, coming from Kawempe side, trying to make your way to town, you realize that on Kawempe Road, in Kawempe using Bombo Road, you will be free to move until you get to the Boise roundabout. Now, the Boise roundabout is the one that has a lot of traffic, and you realize that you might have to either choose another route. If not, you will have to endure with the traffic. As you're closing into the Boise roundabout, as you can see, you'll be finding traffic. If you're coming from Nawero side, you're free to move. But the moment you get onto the road that brings you to the Boise roundabout, you, my friend, are headed for a lot of traffic. Now, if I am sticking to using Bombo Road as I'm trying to go to town, you realize that when you're trying to join the Makere Kavule Road, there is too much traffic for those who are going to town. Then a little bit of traffic that flows quite smoothly if you are coming from town. That is why you're seeing the orange lines all straight onto Kavule Road until you reach the roundabout that takes you to the Synagogue Church of All Nations, the same roundabout that has that takes you to the Kampala Gayaza Road, the same roundabout that continues on Bombo Road, the same roundabout that takes you to Be Nice Road. That is the roundabout that I'm talking about. It is mad with a lot of traffic. And you who is coming from Gayaza Road, brace yourself. Make sure you have enough fuel to take you through because you are headed for a lot of traffic on there. Straight into trying to make sure that we get to town. As you can see, if you're approaching the Makere Eastern Gate, there is a lot of traffic on there. The holdups are quite many, and the only time you get to move smoothly is for like a minute or two, and then you land into, well, smooth flow of traffic, yes, but there is indeed traffic. And this is until you're reaching the Wandegear market side that has also the traffic lights. There's a lot of traffic on there. And if you are coming from the side of Binaisa Road, Yusufulule, and Mulago Road, there is not too much, but there is a bit of holdups and quite long holdups in there as you're approaching the lights. However, after that, if you're crossing over trying to make your way to Buganda Road, you seem to be free to actually move, and you are okay to move. However, if you are proceeding onto Bombo Road, you are headed for some bit of holdups here and there, but it is quite smooth. You'll be able to move pretty well as you are making your way to town until you reach the junction. Now, this junction that I'm talking about is the junction that takes you to Kampala Road, the junction that has Watoto Church, the junction that also goes down to Chiseka side. That is why you'll be finding some bit of traffic on there. Well, usually because of that junction, that is why you'll find the traffic. But as you're moving ahead to Kampala Road, you are free to move. If you are coming from town, you'll realize that there is a bit of traffic on Kampala Road if you're coming from the deeper ends of town, and that is why. And then if you're looking at Chagwa Road has some bit of traffic leading you to William Street, a bit of traffic as well. Traffic continues on to Chagwa Road. Makere Road is okay for you to move. Chagwa Road is still mad with a lot of traffic, as you can see. So for you who works in those areas, brace yourself, depending on also the means of transport you are using. Usually it's for such times, if you're driving and you're late, you might want to ditch the car somewhere safe and grab a boarder that will be able to take you to where you are going. Otherwise, when I take a look at Lumumba Avenue, relatively free to move. Nakasero Road is also free to move, unless, of course, when you continue further onto the Nakasero Road and trying to make your way to to the side that has the High Court, that has the Square, the side that has Grand Imperial, the side that has Tanan Avenue, that roundabout is mad with a lot of traffic, especially if you're coming from Lumumba Avenue. Brace yourself because there's a lot of traffic on there. Well, briefly just taking you through how the traffic seems to be this morning. If you're coming from Gayaza roadside, you might want to opt for another route to use instead of going through Waise because the jam is too much. Well, that is it, and coming up is going to be Good Morning Uganda agenda with Robert Chirabo Nyitono. My name is Chantal Olive Akaninda. Thank you for staying with us. Good morning.
Live from UPC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Pick of the day on UBC.
Every Wednesday, 10 p.m. on your public broadcaster.
Was brought to you by
MTN Momo Pay is the easy way to pay. Dial star 165 star 3 hash or use the MTN Momo app. You don't need cash. MTN Momo Pay is safe and free.
Junko.
Yo.
Wachiko. Check the shopping man. What's your secret?
Uganda wange, haven't you heard of the parish development model PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a portrait project, and now things are moving.
Junko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are,
but you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
The cardinal role of a government is maintaining law and order, safeguarding citizens' rights, and providing essential public goods and services. Throughout its tenure, the government has consistently upheld these principles. This foundation creates an environment conducive to delivering crucial social services to citizens through diverse approaches such as taxation, strategic budgeting, and effective policy implementation. A transformative education system, advancing healthcare provisions, enhancing social welfare, and propelling infrastructure growth, all of which continue to evolve daily to cater to the population's expectations. Supported by a meticulously organized network of ministries, government remains committed to serving its citizens. Coming soon on your public broadcaster, The Front Bench, your interface with the government every Monday at 8:30 p.m. with Joram Paul Sonko, only on your public broadcaster, UBC, inspiring Uganda.
UBC is the national public broadcaster. We educate, inform, entertain, and inspire our audiences. You can watch us on free-to-air channel 001, DSTV channel 282, GoTV channel 371, Star Times channel 201, Zuku TV channel 20, and Azam TV channel 350. Even when your subscription expires, you can still watch UBC for free on your pay TV platforms.
This is Good Morning Uganda.